Yes.
Okay, great. So again, welcome everyone. We've now met quorum. This is our January meeting, general membership meeting of the PSA. The meeting is being recorded. The recordings can be viewed on YouTube. You should have received a copy of the minutes from the December meeting via email from Ms. Amador earlier today. Before we go further, does anyone on the call need Spanish translation? Going once? Can anybody ask that in Spanish? Do you want to ask in Spanish if anyone needs translation? Yeah, but do you want to just ask on the, just ask because to see if we need. Okay, so this is Yasmin, our I almost said vice principal, but vice president, and she's going to ask if anyone needs translation.
Sí, buenas noches. Queremos saber si alguien necesita traducción al español.
Okay, I'm going to take that silence as a no, so we will continue in English only. So our January agenda is as follows. We have the welcome and agenda, the president's report, which will include family movie night, graduation photos and retakes, 2024 PSA events, followed by the SLT report, the treasurer's report, new business, which will include the proposed purchase of a light board and Poppin Popcorn fundraiser, the teacher wish list survey, the family dance party, followed by the principal's report. We'll be joined tonight by Ms. Perez Hernandez, who will be delivering the principal's report, followed by the adjournment. As always, we welcome questions. If you want to pop them in the chat as the meeting progresses, we will get to them when we come to a break. If you have questions pertaining to your child or a specific situation that has happened at school, we ask that you direct any sort of personal or semi-confidential matters to Ms. Perez Hernandez or Ms. Ramirez at their email addresses shown here. Ms. Perez Hernandez will be taking questions as time permits after she delivers her principal's report.
Casey, someone's asking for translation.
Oh, okay. Is there anyone on the call who can translate? All of the slides are in Spanish, but I don't, there's no one here that can. Do you feel comfortable translating or? Okay. So Yasmin is here, but she doesn't feel comfortable translating. Is there anyone on the call who can translate?
Hi, good evening. I can help with translation, but I just joined in, so I'm not sure what I should be translating.
We're just up to like the general announcements, so there's no real need to backtrack. And like, again, this is all, basically it's just like questions can be put in the chat. And then if you have like personal or semi-confidential / confidential questions, they should be addressed directly to the principal or the assistant principal at the email here.
Lo que estaban tratando de decir es que pueden hacer cualquier pregunta en el chat, pero si hay alguna pregunta que tiene que ser privada, por favor, mándele un mensaje directamente privado a uno de la administración.
So again, the meeting minutes were emailed earlier today. If there are, please let us know if there's any questions or concerns. Do you want to translate that? I mean, it's also on the slide, so if people are following along.
La señora Amador envió por correo electrónico las actas de la reunión general del mes de diciembre. So, de mandarle si tienen alguna pregunta o inquietud sobre eso.
So that brings us to the president's report. Again, Happy New Year to everyone. We had a very small meeting right before winter break, which was the day after the Winter Festival. But I just wanted to take another opportunity to say thank you to everyone who helped make the event such a success. all the families who gave up their Saturday mornings, everyone who came to decorate or decorate, set up or clean up, everyone who staffed to make a gift station, our photographer, Jason Falchuk, and his assistant, Kate, all the teachers and staff who agreed to donate their time and talents to the teacher auction, everyone who donated food, Santa, and everyone who came out to participate. It felt like a real community event. And I think, you know, everyone really enjoyed it. So thank you so much for all the support. And there it is in Spanish.
Quieren darles las gracias a todos los voluntarios que vinieron para el evento de invierno. Todo fue un éxito. Simplemente le están dando las gracias por todo lo que participaron y todos los que vinieron a brindar el apoyo a la Asociación de Padres.
So our next big event is Family Movie Night, which is a week from tomorrow. It's Friday, January 19th. Doors are at 5:30. The movie is at 6. Admission is free. As we agreed earlier in the year, this is one of the events where we will have concessions for sale. And then there will be a 50-50 raffle. The raffle is $2 a ticket. Concessions, we're going to have a hot chocolate bar where for $1 you get a cup of hot chocolate and your child or you can pick out all sorts of delicious toppings like whipped cream and crushed peppermint and all that kind of good stuff. There'll also be pizza and packaged snacks. And then the movie is actually going to be, it's a kid's choice. So it's a toe-to-toe face-off between Happy Feet and Smallfoot. I started counting ballots yesterday, and so far, Happy Feet just has the tiniest little bit of a lead. So we'll see how things pan out. By all of the votes are to be in by tomorrow afternoon at the end of school, and the winner will be announced on Tuesday. If you are interested in helping to set up for the event, we will be doing that Friday, January 19th, so right before the event, starting at 2:30.
La noche de cine va a ser el viernes diciembre de enero a las 5:30. La entrada es gratis, perdón. Venta de concesión y barra de chocolates caliente, pizza, snacks y otros van a vender. También va a haber una rifa de 50%. Los boletos son $2. Los estudiantes van a escoger qué película van a ver y van a anunciarlo el enero 16. Si quiere ayudar para trabajar vendiéndose en las concesiones, por favor dejarles saber antes del viernes 19 de enero a las 2:30.
So the next thing on as part of the president's report is the graduation photos and retakes. So all photos taken on picture day, which was November 29th, were backpacked before winter break. Some people have reached out saying that like they're missing part of their order, or there was an issue with their order. I spoke with our and I want to emphasize that that's very few people so far, and I know that some of the issues have already been resolved. But if you have a issue or something that you need to help from the company, the most efficient way and expedient way to get that problem resolved is to contact their customer service for parents. They have like a dedicated parent support line. And that phone number is here, that 1-800 number, or you can reach out on their website at LifeTouch, that web address right there, lifetouch.force.com /help center. So graduation photos are going to be taken the same time as the retakes, which is tentatively scheduled for February 28th. We have that date reserved with the photo company, and we were just waiting for confirmation from Ms. Haig. She had originally said the 27th, but the photo company has the 28th. So, and that kind of works out better for us. Yeah, it's the same company. So as mentioned last month during our December meeting, LifeTouch's retake policy is pretty generous. When we worked with AM Photo last year, basically you only could get a retake if they did something wrong with the photo. So like if it was their error, you could get a retake. But Life Touch is really like if you just don't like your kids making kind of a goofy face, or their hair looks weird, or they spilled ketchup on their shirt at lunch, you can have your child take a retake. You just need to be sure to return the original photo package or the proof. So even if you didn't purchase photos in advance, your child can have a retake. They just need to bring back the proof or the the purchased photos. There will also be an opportunity for sibling photos. Because of their camera software, they photograph a maximum of 3 kids in one shot. It's like the way the camera sees heads. But if you are interested in a sibling photo, please email the PSA for information. Those photos cannot be purchased in advance online. They have to be a paper order form with payment given to the photographer at the time of the sitting. So that's kind of a lot to translate, but thank you, Ms. Gonzalez.
Todas las fotos se tomarán para esos estudiantes se tomaron el 29 de noviembre, fueron tomadas y fueron mandadas con los niños en su mochila antes de las vacaciones de invierno. Si pasó algo, si no está feliz con la foto o no desea, pasó algún problema, no le gustó cómo quedaron, puede llamar al servicio de cliente de Life Touch. Estaba diciendo la presidenta PTA que ellos tienen son muy fácil si desea cambiar la foto, simplemente tiene que devolver la prueba que le entregaron o las fotos y ellos les retoman sin ningún otro problema. La foto de graduación para los niños de kindergarten quinto se va a repetir de nuevo el 28 de febrero. También si quiere tomar fotos con los hermanos, solamente pueden ser los 3 a la misma vez. Y tiene que mandarle la información al email que está del PCA a 376.com. Pero con cualquier problema con la foto puede mandarle directamente a la compañía de Life Touch.
We had a question here, and just to clarify, the graduation photos are for just K and 5th grade, and they will be photographed in cap and gown that is provided by the photo company. Any other questions about photos or retakes?
¿Alguna pregunta sobre las fotos y de lo que se van a tomar de nuevo?
Okay, great. So more information will be coming out, like order forms for K and 5th grade will be coming out, and then we will probably send a survey just so we can get an idea of how many people are interested in retakes. But again, all you really need to provide for a retake is your original picture package. And I should specify that it's minus your class photo. Class photos will not be retaken. So if you purchased a class photo, hold on to that. If you want your child's individual shot redone, just bring those photos back. But we will be sending out a notice and sort of like a questionnaire or survey or whatever, so that you can respond saying that you do in fact want to retake. And that'll be going out probably within the next couple of weeks.
So ellos van a mandar una notificación para esos padres que quieran retomar la foto de nuevo. Simplemente quieren acordarle que solamente es las fotos individual, no la foto de la clase que pueden tomar de nuevo. Ellos van a mandar una notificación para aquellos padres que quieran retomar la foto. Tiene que llenar el formulario y mandarlo para atrás para la escuela.
Great. So last month we discussed our plans for 2024. And so with a unanimous vote, we went ahead and scheduled all of these events with the school. So we have obviously the family movie night, which is going to be a week from Friday, like I mentioned before. Then we will have the family dance party on Thursday, February 15th, graduation pictures and retakes Wednesday, February 28th, Cocoa and Canvas, which is our sort of interactive art event. We've done it for the past 3 years, online only, but this year we're sort of kicking around the idea of doing it hybrid. So more details will come. Family game night will be Thursday, April 18th. NYC FC game, this is something that we had talked about at an earlier meeting. It's like a fundraising opportunity slash like a fun night out, well, I guess afternoon out for the school. So these are tickets that we will sell. The PSA will get a small commission on them, but it's to see a professional soccer game. And this game, I believe, Mary Louise or Yolande, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's Colorado at Citi Field. It's New York versus Colorado. And that would be Sunday, May 5th. And then the teacher appreciation breakfast is Monday, May 6th, which is the first day of teacher appreciation week. And then the year-end carnival, we would like it to be a Saturday in June. Last year, the only Saturday that worked for us, we weren't able to get a school closure permit. So we will be reaching out to our precinct to see what Saturday in June we can get a closure, because I think it would be nice for everybody to have a little more space. So that day is still TBD. The events with the asterisks next to them, those are events that we agreed on at a previous meeting that will have those are in-person events that will have concessions for sale, as well as a 50-50 raffle benefiting the PSA. And I believe that all goes to the Mary Louise. What does that go to again? Is that musical programming or that goes to something else?
Are you talking which thing you're talking about?
The
Citi Field thing?
concessions and the 50-50 raffle.
Oh, concessions and the 50-50 raffle.
I think that might go to teacher wish list.
I think so too. I need to hang on. I can
It's in
pull it
a
up.
future slide.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Eh,
Yeah, I think you're right. It is teacher wish list, or it might be teacher appreciation. It's one of those two.
Yeah, I think those the funds from the proceeds from those fundraisers go to teachers in one way or another.
It is, hang on, I can tell you right now. So the soccer game, we had 2 musical programming. The
Oh, sorry.
concessions goes to general. We just had that for general PSA expenses because we don't find out about how much we made until the end of the year. So we usually just kind of leave that for the future board. Can you hear me?
I can hear
Yeah.
you, but it's hard to hear in the room. Hold on just a
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me now?
You are low, but I don't know that there's much we can do about it on our end.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll try to talk a little louder. I'm in a large room that's making me very echoey. So concessions, I said, would go to general PSA expenses because we don't find out about how much we made until the end of the year with that. So there's not really time to spend it. So we just kind of push that on to the next board. And then the 50-50 raffles will go to the teacher appreciation brunch. The money that we have allocated for teacher wish list, which is $1,000 currently, is coming from the membership dues. So did that
Great.
answer your question?
That does answer my question.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Gonzalez, can you translate some of that, please?
Yeah, sorry. El calendario, simplemente vamos a revisar el calendario de eventos para el resto del año del escolar del 2024. So primero van a tener la fiesta de baile el jueves 15 de febrero. De nuevo, la fotografía de graduación se tomarán el 28 de febrero. También van a tener un evento de chocolate y cavas el jueves 21 de marzo del 2024. Ese va a ser en persona y también por computadora, virtualmente. Van a tener las noches de juego familiar el jueves 18 de abril y también van a participar en el juego de Nueva York, en City Field. Yo creo que se llama New York City, el partido de FS en el estadio de City Field, y eso va a ser el domingo 5 de mayo. También tendrán un desayuno de agradecimientos a los maestros el día lunes 6 de mayo. El carnaval del fin de año todavía es un sábado en junio, pero todavía no han decidido el día que va a ser específicamente el día del carnaval. Todavía lo tienen que determinar. I think that's it. Yeah.
Casey, you're muted.
Okay, so sorry about that. Somehow I merged with the smart board and like the controls were being all wonky. We'll get back into it. Okay, so the SLT report is pretty brief. Basically, it's been an ongoing review of the CEP plan, which is the comprehensive education plan for our school, and sort of like the targets that the school has for improvement, and just then we will be breaking into our CEP subcommittees, which have now been sort of reconfirmed now that we have a couple of new members, and we'll start that committee work sort of going forward with the next meeting. And that brings us to Mary Louise.
Hello. I'm gonna turn my camera on. Can you see me? Yes. Okay. Hi. So we're going through the treasurer's report. If you can go to the next slide, please. So we did make a little money and spent a little money this month. Here, I'm not going to go through every single one line by line, but this was left over from our winter festival that you may remember happened the night before our last meeting. So I hadn't had time to pull all the numbers, but these were this was some money that people paid using PayPal for items at the festival. So that's there. And then we have a couple, we also did the teacher auction. So you'll see other deposits here for the teacher auction and the winners. I think we have a couple outstanding ones. I don't know if anyone is here whose child may have won, but if you didn't hear from us, please let us know and we can let you know if they won or not. Next slide. Then here we have petty cash. So this is showing money that came in from the Winter Festival. There was $1,248.85. And then that left our petty cash balance at $1791.30. And then we took 1,272 out. I'm sorry, this is not right. Because I know that we took more than this out. I think my numbers are a little off. I'm sorry, 1 second. I think I copied and pasted something wrong. I'm multitasking today, guys. Okay. Well, yes, okay. Can I don't know how to share this. I'll have to update this thing later, but let me just put it in the chat. What this should say is we started out with the petty cash having, I've lost it now. Okay. Having $344.45. And then we had the Winter Festival and we made $1,248.85. And that left us with a balance of $1,593.30. Then we took out $1,272 and put it in our bank account. So that left us with $321.30 in the petty cash. I will update this slide afterwards, but I know you have to stop sharing and reshare to do it, and I'm not going to waste our time. So next slide. I'm putting that in the chat, by the way, so you can read the numbers if you'd like. So that left us with the bank balance having, there's a couple of checks that I have to write that you might have seen on there. They were reimbursements for purchasing things for the Winter Festival. So once those checks process, our bank balance will be $7,239.46. And then adding in the petty cash, which is $321.30, as mentioned. And we still have our open collective balance, which is $523.76, which leaves us with a subtotal of $8,084.52. But as we all know, we still have this deficit from the graduation picture refunds from 4 or 5 years ago, that we have to hang on to this money until I think we have another year or two before we can absorb it, because this is money that's due back to parents that we have not been able to locate. So that leaves us with a total available balance of $6,757.57. Can someone, I mean, I don't know, to translate it through in Spanish, maybe just do the overview.
Okay.
Okay.
So simplemente esto es un informe del presupuesto, de lo que ganaron en las ventas, que tuvieron los diferentes eventos para recaudar fondos. El total que alcanzaron fue 6,757,57 centavos. Tienen salvado en el banco 7,239,46. El dinero tiene entre 21 y que todavía tienen que colectar, tienen 523.76. So en total, y todavía falta una déficit que tienen de reembolso para algunos de esos estudiantes del 2020, que todavía los padres no han buscado esas fotos. Todavía hay una déficit en la cuenta bancaria de la ventas bancarias, perdón. So, el total que viene teniendo en la cuenta es de 6,757,57 centavos.
Okay, next slide. And then this is just a refresh of the potential budget that we might have for this year. None of this has been voted on or totally decided upon yet, but a few things have. But we had earned $2,384.39 from our membership dues. So we had discussed potentially, initially the membership dues always were allocated for $1,000 to go to general expenses, which could be for, you know, supplies and for events, or just, you know, paper, whatever we need to keep the PSA going. But then since we made so much more, we decided to allocate another $1,000 to teacher wish lists. And then we have $150 for our art and craft night supplies, game night supplies are $100, and dance night supplies are $150. And then we have $200 here for refreshments for meetings and volunteers for meetings and who work our events. Then we discussed, and I do think we did vote on, Casey, you'll have to remind me. We voted on obviously doing Fall Picture Day because we already have done it. And that is to fund our end of year celebration. The initial goal was $2,500. Unfortunately, we've only made, and this is an estimate, we haven't gotten the final numbers in yet, but they sent us an estimate today of what that will be. They do not supply it until 45 days after the date, in case more people want to buy pictures. So anyway, the estimate's $1,642. So we need to make about $900 more to fund our end of year celebration. That's about $2,500 is about what we spent last year. So we'll discuss that later, but then we have the Winter Festival. We had it allocated toward musical programming, which we have not gotten the full numbers for that yet because numbers are still coming in. We're still getting the money from the auction. So hopefully that'll all be wrapped up by next month, or actually in the next a couple weeks. And then we have our NYC FC soccer game. We also had that allocated toward musical programming. And then we will have a graduate picture day, which will be for kindergartners and fifth graders. Our goal is to make $1,100 off of it. We'll see. We didn't make quite as much on fall, so we'll see what we do on that. And then the concessions, again, we talked about that. That'll go for general PSA expenses, and the 50/50 raffles, which we're doing for during all of our events this year, will go toward the teacher appreciation brunch. And that is, our goal for that is $300. We made, I think, $91 or $92 from the 50/50 raffle this last time. So we're almost a third of the way there. So that's great. And then we had discussed doing some other event like laser bounce night or a New York Liberty game, something like that. So where we basically make a percentage off a ticket sold. And we had that allocated toward the teacher appreciation brunch also. So that some of these still need to be voted on, but that was our general plan. Does anybody have any questions about that?
So están simplemente dando una estimación de los presupuestos que van a tratar de usar el dinero que han recaudado en los fondos. So de la membresía han coleccionado what it says fund goal, that's how much it was collected.
Sorry, say that again.
With the line, the tab that says fund goal, that's what we hoping to get, or
Yeah, that's what we're hoping to get.
So de la membresía, o sea, tiene $200 para el futuro. Ellos están tratando de decir lo que pueden necesitar para usar. So, $2,000 pueden usar la recaudación de fotos con la 2,500, eso es lo que esperan tener, ¿verdad? Recaudar con este evento. Las fotos de quinto y kindergarten, 1,100. También van a tratar de usar dinero para de la rifa de 50-50. La noche de movie, la noche de night, la noche de arte. La noche de movie, el baile y la noche de arte. También tienen programado usar parte del dinero para apoyar ir a la laser band o al ver el juego de New York Liberty también. So, esas son algunas de las actividades que esperan usar el dinero que han colectado.
Okay. And we have a question from the chat asking about the Lightboard fundraising. We actually are going to discuss that in a few minutes. The musical programming, we have used the funds for the musical programming. The problem is we don't raise that much money. So, last year we spent $1,500 and that we raised $1,500 and it covered one assembly for the whole school. There are a lot of issues with the musical programming where like bringing in a teacher or getting an actual program that's permanent in the school. And that is, we have to have a licensed musical education teacher to do it, even if we had space and funding. So they would have to be hired. There's a few different things, but the biggest thing is like, we don't raise enough money to bring a full-time program to our school. With like what we've been doing, even, a lot of times they're like tens of thousands of dollars. And she said, yeah, I think that's more up to the school, not the PSA, so we shouldn't be fundraising for it. So, you know, since we aren't able to bring a full-time program to the school, we thought because other people had expressed interest in bringing some sort of musical education, that having, you know, any sort of musical education is nice. But, you know, we all vote, and if that's something people don't want, we definitely can move the funds. Now, we do have musical theater, which we are going to be talking about raising some money for. I don't see why the money for musical programming couldn't go toward the theater program, because it is musical programming. So that is an option that we can talk about. We can keep moving unless anyone else has questions. All right, new business. Go ahead.
We just had a question from our end, asking about graduation and like what our contribution is. Typically what we've provided is like a breakfast for all the fifth graders and then a lunch for all of the kindergartners. So that's been sort of the PSA's traditional gift as part of the commencement ceremonies.
Last year and the year before, I mean, I think the past few years really, we got like Happy Meals, I think, or it was like kids meals from Burger King or something for the kindergartners. And then the fifth graders last year, we did like was it like a breakfast? I'm forgetting. It was like a buffet. I'm forgetting which meal it was.
Yeah, it was a breakfast. Like it was, you know, eggs and pancakes and stuff with fresh fruit, and Mary Louise cut up all the fruit. It was a very beautiful
I should
rainbow.
remember because I cut up a lot of fruit, but
Yeah, you did all that fruit. Any other questions about sort of budget stuff, or Tiffany, what you were asking about in terms of the light board and all that stuff, that is under new business because it's not something that we've discussed in the general membership meeting before. So
before we move into that, I did want to just say there is a report that I am supposed to file as treasurer by January 30th. It's the interim financial report, and I have it, and I'm going to be filing it next week if anybody would like to see it. I for some reason am getting a discrepancy of $19 between what my count is and what my count is on that sheet. So I've got to crunch some numbers. I think it's going to have to do with PayPal fee, like the little PayPal fees, because you have to take apart, like you have to say how much membership dues you got, and then you have to say how many fees there are. And I think maybe I missed a couple numbers. So, but it will be available in the PSA room, a copy. And I will also be filing it with the principal next week if anyone would like to see that report.
okay. So if that is all, we will move on to new business. So in December, right before winter break, we had a fundraising meeting. It's the third Tuesday of every month. So on Tuesday the 19th, at the general membership meeting in December, there was parents expressed a desire to help with the needs of our new theater program. And so because the fundraising meeting is specifically about raising money for like our specific objectives, and it's kind of the working session of the PSA, we invited all of those parents, as everyone is invited to the fundraising meeting. Like it is, you know, just like everyone is a member of the PSA, everyone can come to the fundraising meeting, but the parents who had expressed an interest, we asked them to come. We invited Mr. Pruitt so we could get a better understanding of the needs of the theater teacher and like that program. figure out a way that we can support them better. So Mr. Pruitt came and he shared that they had, he's recently been able to acquire a bunch of lights and different equipment that the school was in need of. And he said that the one thing that would really pull everything together, and like you can't really run new lights without like modern lights, is a light board. So it's basically like a fancy looking remote control. There's a picture of it on the next slide. But that's what he really needs so that the shows can be kind of like next level where, as Miss Perez Hernandez said in the SLT meeting when it came up the other day, right now, the current lighting situation we have in the auditorium, it has 2 settings and those are on and off. And we want to give more to our students. So we want them to have like gels and spots and, you know, track light, whatever we can. So this light board would be like the master controls. It's also like a good opportunity for kids who aren't necessarily comfortable being on the stage to sort of learn a little bit about tech theater. It's kind of dovetails nicely with our school's mission as being a STEAM school. So you're sort of learning the technical side of the arts. Ms. Gonzalez, do you want to translate a little bit of that before we move on?
Thank you, I appreciate that. So en la reunión pasada de la donde se reúnen y donde todos los padres, no solamente los padres PCA, para discutir eventos de recaudación de fondos, algunos de los miembros expresaron su deseo de ayudar con las necesidades del programa de teatro. El señor Pruitt, el maestro de teatro, explicó y dijo que exactamente qué era exactamente los materiales que necesitaban para hacer el programa de teatro más mejor para todos los estudiantes de la escuela 376. So, una de las opciones que algo que necesitan vamos a ver una foto después, le van a enseñar una foto, pero es algo como, ella lo describió como un control, que puede controlar las luces para que así los estudiantes ahora mismo solamente tienen una luz que se prende y se apaga. Eso es lo único que tienen ahorita. Pero queremos que nuestros estudiantes tengan más opciones donde se le puede poner diferentes luces y que puedan hacer más cosas cuando estén dentro del escenario. So esa es una de las cosas que estamos pidiendo para que se use parte del dinero de los recursos que hagan colectar. Go ahead, I think I got it.
Thank you. Okay, so this is what the light board looks like. It's this big remote control and all of these levers here, like they can control the different lighting levels. Kind of like, I feel like it's one of those things you sort of see in the movies. But so Mr. Pruitt, when he met with us at the fundraising meeting, he said that new theater lights have been purchased. They are mobile lights so that they can be sort of, they're not fixed within the auditorium. They are on various sort of stands and different types of rigging so they can be moved around, which is nice because if a class had like a PBL project and they wanted to do like a green screen or some sort of TV situation, those lights could be set up to benefit that project. It doesn't necessarily just have to be for use in the theater or in the auditorium for theatrical shows. They can also be used for like district meetings. There was talk about possibly training kids so that they would have some kind of like semi-professional experience of like running the lights for various events that do come into the building. I know that we hosted the CEC meeting for the district right before break. So for that type of thing, that could potentially be something that the kids get involved with, like providing sort of the tech services for those types of events. So Mr. Pruitt bid the light board with 3 different vendors, it ranged in price from $1,620 and $86 from B&H, which is a very large audio video, sort of professional grade audio video supplier in New York, all the way up to $1,765. 1620.86 was the lowest price. that would be like the, final price. So that's basically what we're asking for if we were to proceed. So the proposal that was made at the fundraising meeting was for the PSA to advance funds for the purchase of the light board from B&H, so that we could have, so that the theater department could have it before the February show. We would then hold a Poppin Popcorn fundraiser. Tiffany Cortez, who was the president, she was a two-term president a couple of years ago. She ran this fundraiser when she was president, and she made a tremendous amount of money with it. So I think, Tiffany, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like $5,000 one year that you made, or like the school made, but under your direction. I think it was in the neighborhood of that. But so, given past performance of this fundraiser, it seems that we would be able to sort of pay ourselves back. As Mary Louise was saying, all of our funds that we have so far have been allocated to other initiatives. We do have that sort of musical programming category, but as you saw from that previous slide, we don't have enough money to cover the 162086. Like, we were trying to raise at least $1,500 for another school-wide assembly. That was sort of like our minimal goal. But so far we're not close to that. So if we were to do this, we would really need to have another fundraiser to pay ourselves back if we want to do all the things that we've set out, that including the end of year carnival, which is kind of our biggest expenditure of the year, or it has been traditionally. Ms. Gonzalez, I have that in Spanish on a different slide. Oh, I did. Oh, there it is.
Sorry, I stuck that in there, that list, just to show people kind of like what we had spent last year, again, just so they get an idea of how much
okay.
money so just real quick before you do the Spanish. So we've already allocated money for dance night in this ballpark, craft night, same ballpark, game night, same ballpark, general meeting snack, same ballpark. So we already have that coming from membership dues, so we don't have to worry about that. The money that we need toward the end of the year is this like teacher appreciation breakfast. We had bought some like school spirit stuff. That's not totally necessary. I feel like we have leftover from that. Teacher wish list, which we already allocated $1,000 for, so from the member dues, so we don't really need that. But the family fun day, aka the end of year carnival, that was around $2,500. So we have the $2,500, and then the K and fifth celebrations, which are around 1,000, so about 3,500. So we need to just like basically hang on to at least $3,500 to be able to support that. Right now we only have, I think, around $5,000 that we can spend on anything. And that would include this dance night stuff, the teacher wish list, all of that. So if we spend $1,700 on this, that means we would not be able to have enough money to do all the things at the end of the year unless we do have another fundraiser. So,
simplemente ella quería explicar lo que usaron el dinero que recaudaron el año pasado. So es básicamente los gastos que usaron, para diferentes actividades. Para la baile, 1,400, la noche de artes, 1,300. So todas estas son el que está en el listado, si lo pueden ver, es todo lo que usaron el año pasado. So, simplemente quieren enseñar esto porque para enseñarles que con el dinero que tienen ahora no van a poder hacer dinero para lo que necesitan en el teatro. So por esa razón necesitan hacer otro tipo de recaudación de fondos para así poder ayudar al programa de teatro de la escuela. Simplemente esto era el ejemplo, si pueden ver en la pantalla, de lo que necesitan, no solamente el teatro de la escuela, el programa del teatro de la escuela, pero para cualquier otra actividad o evento que se use el auditorio de la escuela 376. Sea, otros, reuniones, otros eventos que no sea simplemente el programa de arte. También ese programa es algo tecnológico que también pueden enseñarles a los estudiantes cómo usarlo. Eso es otra oportunidad, ¿verdad? De enseñarles a los estudiantes, el uso de la computadora y la tecnología, que es la meta de la escuela, ¿verdad? Es la meta de la escuela, es, computadora y tecnología. Esta sería otra oportunidad para darle a los estudiantes. Recientemente se compraron nuevas luces de teatro, pero se necesita un tablero de luces para maximizar su utilidad, como el que enseñamos aquí. Recibimos 3 ofertas y la más barata es tablero de luces, cuesta 1,620. Estamos tratando de recaudar más fondos, o se está proponiendo hacer una recaudación de fondos con el Poppin Popcorn, las palomitas de maíz. En tiempos anteriores han hecho este tipo de recaudación y ha sido muy beneficiaria para la escuela. Okay.
Thank you very much. So let's just see what's in the chat. So Tiffany said that with Poppin Popcorn, 4,595 was rate that was profit to the school. So 50% of the gross sales. And then it says, and if we allocate the musical programming money to musical theater, how would that work then?
Currently, how much money do we have allocated to the musical? Well, the problem is we would have to move our allocations around, really. We would have to say,
do you want me to go back?
yeah, go back to the slide that shows, yeah, that. So Fall Picture Day, we have currently allocated to the end of year celebration. We do have, let me think. I can actually pull up the interim report and tell you 1 second. Sorry, 1 moment, trying to find my tab. Ugh. Basically, I think we would need to say Fall Picture Day is going toward, because we don't have this money for musical programming right now. That's the issue. It's like we can't, you're not supposed to spend money that you haven't made yet. The Winter Festival money, that could go toward this cause, which we think we made, how much did I tell you? Like around $1,000. This is, I'm just totally like, this is ballpark estimate. And I mean, it could be a thing where maybe we just take this musical programming money that we were going to use to like do a assembly or something, and we're going to spend it now, but we know money is going to be coming in the future. For the end of year celebration, I still think we're less $900 from what we need. So I think we need to do some sort of fundraising regardless. But I mean, we definitely can just say the money we made at the Winter Festival could go toward purchasing the theater equipment, since it does go toward musical theater programming. And that we will know the number on probably next week. But I mean, this fundraiser that we're voting on, we'll probably be allocating that money toward the end of year celebration and other uses, right? Because we're just spending money that we already have right now to buy this because they need it ASAP.
So, yeah, that was my understanding, is that we were essentially going to borrow money from just our general account, and then the fundraiser, the Poppin Popcorn fundraiser would be held, and we would be paying back that $1,600. Anything other than that, we would need to figure out how much we would allocate, like how that allocation would be. It says, but how much would you be left with at the end of the year? As of now, like, we're really spending, like, our plan is to spend down the account as much as possible. To answer Tiffany's question about how much would be left at the end of the year.
So right now we have around $5,000 that we are able to spend because we're not able to spend that money that is in there from the picture refunds. And like, if you just put together these few things that we were estimating for, which say the musical programming, say that was $1,500 that we did last year. So that would be from the, I'm having to add things in my head here. I mean, I'm just giving you guys ballpark estimates, but so this is around 4,000. This was 1,500, that's 5,500. This was around 1,100, so we 6,600. Concessions, we didn't make that much money, maybe $200, if that. But we probably definitely spent that in just general expenses. So where was I? 6,600, say 6,800. Then the teacher brunch, I think it was around, was it around $500 or $600? I guess so.
The brunch was, yeah.
Yeah, so that's 6,800, 70, wait, 68, 7,400. Okay, so we spent last year around $7,400. Right now we have around $5,000 that we could spend in our account. So we're at a deficit currently of around $2,500.
Assuming, yeah.
If we spent exactly the same way that we did last year, is what I'm saying. So we might not have much left at the end of the year. We did end up having money left over at the end of the year last year, but currently as it stands, we haven't raised enough money, as much money as we did last year yet.
Does that answer your question, Tiffany?
Sorry, it's kind of a
Yeah,
complex.
because I know that I mean, we're supposed to spend, all of the money that's in the account at the end of the year, technically. But I mean, I have no problem, as I told you guys before, doing the fundraiser. So I was just wondering what would be left and what you guys were planning. So that was my question. So yeah, it was answered.
Okay, great. So just to summarize, basically, based on all the plans that we've set forth, we do not currently have enough money, and we are sort of behind where we need to be to do all the things that we did last year. So if to buy the light board, while we have money that we can sort of like spend out of our account now to purchase it, if we want to do all the things, if we want to do teacher wish list, graduation stuff, the teacher appreciation, all of those things. And the biggest thing being the year-end carnival, which the year-end carnival, that was free of charge. All the food, all the games, like there was no tickets sold for any of those things. That was like just entirely free to the community, like our school community. And if you'll remember last year, that included live, like a live performer and like lots of bells and whistles. So we can pare down that celebration, make it, a little bit less spectacular, like, maybe not have live performance, like maybe only have one bouncy castle, those types of things. Like we can decide how we want to spend the money, but right now, if we're going to do all the things we did last year, we need to raise more money. And you said the shortfall is about $2,500, Mary Louise?
Yeah.
Okay. So, are there any other questions? So right now the proposal is and I'm gonna go back to the English, is to advance PSA funds to purchase the light board from B&H. That is $1,620.86. So that the theater department can have it before the February show. So that means, I think it's Annie. We think it's Annie is the February performance. So before February,
It is Annie.
okay, so Annie would have like actual theater lights for that show. So purchase the light board as soon as possible. And then after that, we would have a fundraiser for Poppin Popcorn. You know, it's a fundraiser that did very well in the past, but again, there's no like assurances like how much we're going to raise. Like Mary Louise said, our you know, our school photos from the fall, they're a little behind where we were last year with AM photo. So we feel confident that we could make back the 1620. And then there's a good possibility that we would make even more than that. So then we could figure out how to allocate that money. The excess, we
At a later
could say
date.
that all of the money goes to the theater department. I know that Mr. Pruitt said that he needed some trusses and stuff, like additional mobile trusses for lights. There were some like side like screens for the wings, you know, for really trying to like make the PS 376 productions as professional as possible. But that's something that we would need to vote on. Right now, the proposal that we're about to vote on, you know, provided that there's a motion to do so, is to purchase the light board and then hold a Poppin Popcorn fundraiser to replenish our account.
So I think how we could say this, because, you know, there's a lot of like rules with the PTA with like how money is spent and voted upon. I think we would say the money that was previously allocated toward the end of year carnival, which was the picture day money, would go toward this. And then we could also have the winter, we could utilize the money made at the winter festival, which was already allocated for musical programming. And that would give us enough money for this that we already have in hand. But then we would say the Poppin Popcorn fundraiser would be what would fund our end of year carnival. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yep. Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
any other questions? Is there a motion on the floor?
I motion.
A second?
Motion.
Okay.
Okay.
Great, so it's time to vote. So let me just launch the poll here. The poll is not worded exactly as Mary Louise said.
Is it possible to change it or fix it to how she said, just so
Yeah.
that there will be no,
Yep.
you know, discrepancies later?
So the PSA will purchase a light board for the theater program as soon as possible using funds previously allocated. Mary Louise, do you want to say where the funding source or where it was allocated before?
I would say it may be both, because really we have to vote to change what it was allocated for. So say the vote is to change the allocation of money from the fall picture day from end of year carnival to this purpose. However you want to say that,
Okay,
musical
so
theater.
using funds from fall.
We are reallocating money.
And what was the other one? The Winter Festival?
Well, the Winter Festival, we don't really need to vote on because that was for musical programming, and I feel like this falls under that bucket. So,
Okay, so then it's just the fall picture day.
yeah.
A Poppin Popcorn fundraiser will then be held to replenish to fund
The end of year carnival, which was the previous allocation of those funds. Sorry, this is a very long, we're trying to make it as easy as possible to vote once. It's a lot of red tape.
okay. I should probably update the Spanish as well.
Mhm.
Hold on. Why is it not loading? Oh, there we go. Okay. Does that make sense to everyone?
Makes sense to me.
Okay,
Okay.
great. So I am now going to launch the poll. We'll give it 1 minute. Please mark your answer and then we will vote by a show of hands for the in-person participants. Okay, so if you are in favor of purchasing a light board and then posting on Poppin Popcorn fundraiser, please raise your hand.
For the popcorn?
It's everything together. So it's like
Oh.
you buy the light board and then you pay, we pay ourselves back with the Poppin Popcorn.
Okay.
So if you're in favor, raise your hand. If you disagree, if you decline to answer, okay. So Mary, are you raising your hand for a question or are you just, I was speaking to the in-person people, but if you have a question, let us know. So
No,
I'm going to,
sorry about that. Thank you. I did submit the poll, but then I did vote. I got excited.
okay, great. Well, I am showing that 11 of 11 have agreed online and then 3 of 3 in person have agreed in person. So with 100, you know, that was unanimously passed that we will be purchasing the light board for the theater department and then hosting a Poppin Popcorn fundraiser this spring.
And we're gonna get a lot of volunteers and helpers who are gonna help us make this fundraiser happen,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
So I like your enthusiasm, Tiffany. I like all the emojis. Kind of piggybacking on what we were just talking about, it has been everybody's intention that like the PSA does what it can to support teachers and support our students. And so to that end, a teacher wish list survey will be going out probably by the end of the month, sort of like ask for us to ask them being teachers, how we can help support them and whatever gaps they may have that we can hopefully fill with the $1,000 that we allocated. It's not a ton of money, but you know, last year, based on all the responses that we got, which weren't like a ton of responses, you know, it came out to be like about $600. We added more money to it this year. So we will send out that survey and then we will share the results of it at the February general membership meeting. And then Ms. Gonzalez?
I don't know if you needed me to translate that.
Oh, just if you want to share about the teacher wish list, it's all here in Spanish. I don't know.
No, simplemente querían dejarles saber que van a mandar una encuesta a los maestros para ver cuáles son algunos de los materiales o cosas que necesite, útiles o materiales que necesiten para el salón de clase. Cuando tengan ese encuesta disponible, van a compartir los resultados en la reunión de febrero.
Okay, great. And I just want to recap the vote real quick. So just to reiterate, we will be purchasing the light board straight away. And then because that money is coming from Fall Picture Day, then any money raised from and the Winter Festival, any money raised from Poppin Popcorn will be going towards the end of year carnival. So that's where we stand. Teacher wish list we just talked about. And then family dance party. So it is scheduled for Thursday, February 15th. The kids again will pick the theme. Last year they voted amongst 4 themes. It was we really kind of split the vote. Like it was really close across the board. Except for the decades dance, no kid wanted to dress like their parents, apparently. So the kids picked the theme. We came up with Disco Delicioso, which is sort of a candy flavored disco. So it's like a dance party, think glitter and lollipops and hearts and all that kind of stuff, or Out of This World, which was the runner-up last year, which is kind of goes along with our STEAM theme. We had fancy dress categories last year. The kids got really into dressing up in a way that I was very surprised about. So again, each of these themes would have a fancy dress categories that they could compete in. We're going to sort of formalize our voting process. It was like a little bit of a melee, the way it was done, the way it shaped, came out last year. The kids were very excited to be judged. But we will do fancy dress categories for each of these themes, whichever one wins. And then decoration crafting, as I know some of you can attest to, this was a real labor of love last year. It took a lot of time. We're hoping to pare down some of those man hours, but we would tentatively like to plan on getting together Saturday, February 3rd, and then Saturday, February 10th to make decorations, provided that it's that works for the school. So we're just waiting on confirmation for that. But if you want to pencil it in on your calendars. Tiffany, I too wish there was a 90s theme, but nobody, that was kind of what we were going for with the decades dance last year, and the kids were pass. Anyhow, Miss Gonzalez, would you like to?
Yeah, if we can go back, that would be helpful.
Sorry.
Sorry.
What am I doing? Okay, there we go.
So estas son las fiestas de baile de familiar. So va a ser el jueves 15 de febrero. Los niños eligen el tema, los estudiantes eligieron el tema. So va a ser como discoteca delicioso, algo donde se van a vestir como algo de dulce y algo de discoteca, corazones o cosas así. Y el otro tema fue fuera de este mundo, donde es cosas que, pueden hacer de otros planetas, cosas así, o otras ideas que ellos tengan. So esas son las opciones que los niños escogieron. Va a haber unos premios para los disfraces que sean mejores, y la elaboración de decoración el sábado 3 de febrero y el sábado 10 de febrero para decorar para el baile del 15 de febrero.
Okay. And then that brings us to the principal's report, and we have Miss Perez Hernandez here. I had your thing, but it didn't save. I can open it up. Okay. I think I can. Okay. Um,
I don't think you need to click any of that stuff. It's just opening. Let it open. It's just an MP4, so it's a video.
it's very slow. And I had embedded it in the slideshow before, but I don't know why it's not there now.
Can you download it?
I don't think I can because like the connection's really slow.
If you want, I can see if I can try it. 1 second. Oh,
Okay. There I also have a PDF version of it, so let me just get to that.
is it a video?
Yeah.
I
Well,
have it. I have it up if you want to.
oh, you
make me
do?
a-
Okay,
make
great.
me a
So I'll let
co-host.
you share your screen.
All right, make me a co-host. I think you have to do that. Am I a co-host? No.
You are now.
Oh, still says I'm not. Okay, there we go.
Okay. Great.
Do
So here's Miss Perez Hernandez.
you want me to play the video now?
Sure. And if you could just pause on each screen, because I will be talking
Okay.
about each,
Okay, it's like, okay.
or like, I'll say you can move on.
You don't have it timed out perfectly with what you're gonna say?
So happy New Year. Welcome back, everyone. I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday season and enjoyed the break. We can move on.
Yay, fireworks.
We can move on to the next slide.
We're really, okay.
Thank you. So I just want to share with everyone that our parent survey that was due to end last Friday, January 5th, we've extended the deadline. We've already exceeded the parent response rate from any previous year, but our goal, right, is to get as much parent response as possible. So being that we do have a few in-person events happening, we've extended the deadline to Monday, January 22nd. You can continue to use the link if you have not already filled out the survey. It takes approximately 5 minutes. It's a short, simple survey that will help us customize and adjust our annual parent workshops and offerings to best meet the needs of our parents and ensure that we're offering workshops and events that you want to see taking place in our school. So you could either use the link that has been emailed by Ms. Amador, or you can call the school if you need help filling it out. Feel free to come into the building. We have staff that will help you fill it out. So Ms. Amador has sent this parent survey a few times and she will continue to send it. The link is directly on the flyer. Okay, and I also want to bring everyone's attention to an upcoming Science of Reading workshop that we're having. It is a series. This will be the second and culminating session of the Science of Reading PD that we've had. Ms. Chavarria hosted the first one last Thursday, the 4th. And we're pretty much just breaking down this new well, it's not new, it's around 30 years, but it's being implemented in our city and in cities across the nation. And it is based on 30 years worth of research, but it's finally making its way into the instructional practices and curriculums adopted by schools across our country. And it's based on this body of research known as the Science of Reading, so that parents understand why there have been certain shifts in the ELA program across grades K to 5. The last session, the presentation slide deck is being posted to the school website, and we actually recorded it so that if anyone missed that session, you could view it before the next session and feel like you have not missed out on any of the learning. But we're hoping that this puts this theory and this body of work into simpler terms for parents. I don't know if Ms. Gonzalez, was it that was translating, wants to translate? No, I could also do it. Esto es para avisarle a los padres que nuestra serie de how do you say workshop? Talleres para padres de la ciencia de lectura. Vamos a ofrecer la segunda parte el 18 de enero. La primera parte fue el 4 de enero y básicamente es informando a los padres sobre este cambio en lectura que está influyendo los nuevos currículos y las nuevas prácticas en las aulas de jardín de infancia hasta quinto grado. You can move on to the next slide, Miss Foss.
Okay.
Okay, and another wonderful event that we're so excited about is our CS Fridays. Every month, we will be hosting a bi-weekly session, one for dedicated to K-2, the other one 3 through 5, where parents are invited to come into our school and actually engage in computer science instruction with our children in the classroom. We hosted our K-2 session last Friday, January 5th, and we're so excited to host the session for grades 3 through 5 on Friday, January 26th. It's at 1:30, so parents can come join us at 1:30, and then you can leave with your students. And if it is a Brighter Bites Friday, more than happy to come back down and join our Brighter Bites in the auditorium. It's really great because this is going to be a monthly event, so bi-weekly every month. We're going to have a Friday dedicated to K-2 and a Friday dedicated to 3 through 5. So this will be moving forward through the end of the year every month. And you will be able to participate with the children in a computer science event in the classroom. And this is to highlight some of the practices that we've been implementing in computer science and aligned to the computer science and digital fluency standards for the state. So we hope you join us. I think it was a great event for K-2, and I hope our parents that came enjoyed it. So este folleto es para avisarle a los padres de grados 3 a 5 sobre nuestro evento de ciencia de computadora que estamos implementando cada mes, un viernes dedicado a jardín de infancia a segundo grado y otro viernes en el mes sería dedicado a tercero a quinto. Los padres pueden venir ese día a la 1:30 y participar junto con los niños en una actividad de ciencia de computadora en la clase. Luego, después del evento, pueden recoger el niño porque es, ¿cómo se dice? Dismissal. La hora de salida inmediatamente después, y si le toca, si corresponde con un día de Brighter Bites, enseguida después del evento pueden bajar al auditorio a recoger su bolsa de productos. Okay, Miss Foss, you can move on to the next slide. Great. One more thing that Ms. Ramirez asked me to share with everyone is our winter attendance campaign. We need our children to be in school every single day. Of course, if they're sick, we don't want them here sick, but we do want everyone to make the biggest effort to come in. So we want to encourage and we want to congratulate and we want to reward our children that are making every effort to attend. So we are going to be having periodic campaigns to support and to invigorate and encourage and motivate the kids to come in. We already have in place on a monthly basis where the class with the highest percentage of attendance for the month gets to host a trophy for the month, and they participate in a pizza party. Students with 100% attendance for the month are also celebrated on our attendance bulletin board in the school, so we're always celebrating them. New this coming month that will continue every month thereafter is students with 100% attendance for the month are also going to receive a certificate and a prize in addition to being celebrated on our bulletin board. And
came to school, that bulletin board out there, that was from last, was it December or something?
Yes, so attendance gets calculated at the end of the month. So what you see displayed is the previous month's information. We're always like a month behind because you can't calculate the percentage until the month is over. So we celebrate the next month for the past month.
Because Leo came, it was down in being sick, not here. Leo came to school at the day.
If you notice that like your child did have 100% attendance, but they're not celebrated on the bulletin board, sometimes there are discrepancies with the attendance. You should definitely contact the main office and clarify that, because then that means that the child's
This morning,
attendance is
I called
impacted.
This morning to find the staff number. She said she's gonna get into that.
Yeah, because we have to fix that. That attendance is a legal document. So we definitely have to fix that and clarify that. The question was, oh, if my child the previous month was here 100% of the time and they're not on the bulletin board, like what does that mean? That means that there might be an error in the attendance and we should be notified right away because attendance is a legal matter. So we're going to be having these campaigns, and each campaign will have different rewards. Our winter attendance campaign, we're going to try to reward 100% attendance on a weekly basis. And at the end of the week, if you were here 100% of the times, you will earn a free homework pass. And any student who was here 100% for the entire campaign period, which runs January 16th through the end of February 29th, they will earn a ticket for a school movie day and pizza party. So that is just something to invigorate everyone and get them motivated. And then in March, we'll start a new campaign with different rewards so that the kids don't get bored for March Madness. Esta campaña es para mejorar la atendencia. La atendencia de los estudiantes es muy importante. Es bien importante que vengan todos los días. Ahora lo que tenemos ya es que la clase con el porcentaje más alto del mes se le da un trofeo y ellos mantienen el trofeo por el mes, y esa clase tiene una fiesta de pizza. Cada estudiante que tiene 100% de atendencia para el mes están celebrados en nuestro boletín. Comenzando este mes, lo que vamos a comenzar de hacer para todos los niños que tienen 100% porcentaje de atendencia, ellos encima de tener su nombre en el boletín, también van a recibir un certificado y un regalo. La campaña que vamos a correr ahora desde el 16 de enero hasta el 29 de febrero va a dar regalos semanal, no esperar el mes completo, pero semanal. So, si el niño tiene o la niña tiene atendencia perfecto esa semana, se le va a dar un permiso de no hacer tarea para esa semana. Y para los estudiantes que en esa temporada tienen atendencia perfecto, se les van a invitar a una película y fiesta de pizza.
Miss Almonte has her hand raised.
Oh, sure.
Do you have a
Hi.
question?
Yes, I have a question regarding the attendance procedures and how they qualify and don't qualify then for prizes. What about students that have the medical excuse? Like that doesn't count against them then, right? So then that will lower the percentage per class. So as long as students bring in a medical note, then that'll not affect their attendance percentage to be able to win, correct?
So I will check with Ms. Ramirez because this is being done in conjunction with our district. And we'll get back to you on that, Ms. Almonte, because I'm not 100% sure about that.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to encourage sick kids to come to school.
Yeah, 100% not. No, if the child is sick.
No, because my kids are, type A personality. So every time I know that Clara isn't feeling well, she's like, no, but I have to go in because then that affects this and that and the other. And I'm like, well, no, you're gonna stay home.
Yeah, you have
But
to take care of your health.
yeah. Okay, just wondering because I just don't feel like it's fair. It's not under their control.
No, so there was another question, Ms. Almonte, that actually sparked which was if they leave early, so like, sometimes kids get sick during the school day, and a child, has to go home early, like, does that impact their attendance? No, once they're here for the day, they're marked as present, so no. La pregunta fue que si a veces los niños se enferman durante el día y nosotros llamamos, alguien viene y los recoge, si eso afecta la atendencia de ellos por ese día. Y no, ya después de que llegaron por la mañana y estaban presentes cuando cuando se tomó la atendencia, se califica como un día en atendencia.
What time do they take attendance?
We take attendance, I think, around 8:30-ish, between 8, because we have to collect it by 9 o'clock to scan it, because then it has to go to Central. Yeah, 30. But if a child comes in late, that gets corrected on the attendance. So también llegando tarde, la tardancia es una cosa y ausencia es otra.
When they get here before 9, they could be unattended.
Yeah. And do we have another hand raised, or was that?
Yeah, Nyasha.
Hi, good evening. Just wondering, what's going on with Brighter Bites? Are they coming back, or was the 5th the last one?
I know no, they're coming back. I think they're here next Friday.
No.
Okay, because all of the posters on the school gate
Oh,
say
because they
1-5.
yeah, no, they do like a mid-year pause and like check-in, but I know they're here next Friday because our mid-year meeting with them is the day that they're here for distribution. So I guess we just need to get updated posters then.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Foss, I think you can.
Oh, sorry.
Next one. No,
Falling down on my job here.
thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, so I think this is actually the last slide. So I was asked to speak a little bit as we were hearing about some of the needs for the musical theater program and the request for the lighting board. I was asked to speak a little bit more about our capital funding grant, one that's actually overdue. It's not a current one. We were awarded a brand new capital funding grant for the upgrade of our library in the amount of $150,000. That was a new award that we just received. This speaks to a previous grant that was awarded, I believe, in 2016, 2017, and the funds were released in 2019. It was for an auditorium upgrade, a complete auditorium upgrade. And the project was awarded by Assemblywoman Davila in the amount of $500,000. It was supposed to commence in 2019, March of 2019, and I'm sure that date is a trigger for most people as that was the onset of COVID. The specs meeting was actually held here in the school where all of the details about the upgrade were solidified between then Principal Vera Drucker and the SCA School Construction Authority. It was supposed to, like I said, start the construction in March of 2019. COVID caused a pause to that project. So all construction projects with the onset of COVID were stopped and paused and did not take place. However, in about the spring, summer of like 2021, a lot of those construction projects at schools started to be reinitiated. Ours was not. We understood that there was an extreme backlog. So, we waited a little bit. When I did not hear about a new project start date in the fall of 2021, for school year 2021, I started following up with SCA, school facilities, custodial staff to try to find out, when this start date would be, and the grants department in the DOE. No one could seem to find the project. No one could seem to find information on the project. The project was almost like non-existent. So we continued to try to follow up. After no progress, last spring, we reached out directly to Assemblywoman Davila. I'm sorry, yes, March 2020. My apologies, Ms. Cortez. That is correct. It was March 2020, not 2019. I reached out to Assemblywoman Davila to see if on her end she could locate any of the information. She was upset that nobody could find this project, so she helped us, and she actually initiated an investigation at the state level. This fall, I did get contacted by the DOE that they were aware of the grant and that we would eventually be hearing further details about the grant once all of the, I guess, permits and information that needed to be sought was put in place. I still have not received a commencement date, and we continue to follow up with them. So being that, you know, it seems like our auditorium is a big focal point right now, there are certain things that we cannot expect PSA to be able to fund, or even at the school level. That's why this was a capital grant. The auditorium was supposed to receive an entire electrical upgrade, from lighting to brand new seating, brand new drapery. The stage floor was supposed to be ripped out, and it was a full gut and construction project. That is something that is way beyond the scope of anything that we could financially support or the PSA could financially support. However, is long overdue. I've been a part of this building for over 22 years. This building was built in 1996, and when I started over 22 years ago, the lights in the auditorium didn't work and the light board did not work back then. So it seems like when the building was constructed, something did not go right, and that auditorium has really never been fully functioning and working. So we would like to get this up and going. Ms. Badillo and myself have been advocating for it for a long time. And it would really be helpful to us, since this seems to be something that parents care about as well. If you could help us raise the profile of our inquiry, and maybe send me some emails inquiring about the status of the grant, because when I reach out to the grants department, when I reach out to SCA, you know, it helps when I have an email from parents and I can say, look, here's, you know, another parent questioning when this is going to, you know, be upgraded. Our seats are super uncomfortable. We don't take anything to the press. That's not how we operate and do business. We go directly through the DOE, and like I said, sometimes having emails from parents and support from parents showing that it's something that they care about and that they want to support will help bring more attention, right? And me, every so often sending an email is one thing, but when I'm constantly sending emails, because I have, I'm forwarding another parent email, I'm forwarding another, they remember our school a little bit more, and I'm sure we're not the only school. I'm sure there are many other schools, so it just keeps us at the forefront of their thinking, so that whatever red tape, you know, has to be solidified and crossed in order to get a project on the docket. Sometimes that could just help, you know, keep us at the forefront of that. So my email address is there. Everyone has access to my email address. Please feel free to contact me and to ask about the grant. So did that answer any questions? Any other questions? Thank you.
So is Mr. Pruitt still here? I think I saw he was on at first. Stop share, y'all. Let me see. Is he still on? I think he might have signed up. Well, I was just wondering.
Hi.
Oh,
I'm
hi,
here.
you're there. Okay, so I think we talked about, you know, that there was this grant and that you were potentially going to be able to use that for the lighting purchases. I know since we're buying this lighting board, have you been able to purchase lights that will go with it already, or?
So those lights will add, like, they can add extra effect when they do eventually put in the overhead lights, like in the stage and whatnot. And I won't have anything to do with like making those decisions or purchasing anything for that. But they can allow us to supplement lighting in certain areas. And since it's a mobile thing, those lights could be used for many different things, as Ms. Fisher mentioned at the beginning, which is a bonus. So it won't really cancel out. It's just another thing.
But you've already purchased the lights that will be operated by the light board, right?
Correct.
You already
Yeah.
have them. Okay, I
Yeah.
was just making
Yeah.
sure we weren't waiting for this money. that
Right.
might
No.
never appear. Okay, cool. All right. Anybody else have any questions? All right,
Have a
okay.
wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you so much for your time.
I'm just gonna jump back on and share my screen real quick. So we just have a couple of reminders. Mostly it's stuff that we've already covered before, but let me just share my screen. And okay, so that brings us to upcoming events and reminders. And they're it's very slow. We'll just do it from here. So as everybody knows, I'm sure, no school on Monday because it is MLK Day. Our fundraising meeting will be the next night at 6 o'clock, Tuesday, January 16th on Zoom. Everyone is welcome. Please come. It is a working session of the PSA. Mary Louise is our chairperson and treasurer this year, and she keeps it snappy. So if you can make it, we'd really appreciate seeing you there. Family movie night again is Friday, January 19th. The doors at 5:30, movie at 6. The movie, it's like a hot contest between Happy Feet and Smallfoot, will be announced on Tuesday. If you're interested in helping to set up, we're hoping to get into the school around 2:30 to sort of redeploy the decorations that we have left over from the Winter Festival. We will also need some people to help out with concessions and sort of that whole process. So if you're interested, please email the PSA. The PSA general membership meeting for February, because it's the second Tuesday, that's a little early next month, which is Thursday, February 8th, in person and on Zoom. I just want to point out that I have decided that I'm making bundt cake for all of the in-person participants. I made a gingerbread bundt cake tonight. I think it's pretty good. Diane said it. Yeah, Diane and Yasmin both give it a thumbs up. I think February is going to be chocolate cherry. So if that's like an inducement to anyone to come in person, there will be chocolate cherry bundt cake.
That
Also,
sounds delicious, actually.
yeah, it's pretty great if I do say so myself. And then the family dance party, that is coming up Thursday, February 15th. We will be sending out ballots to all the classes, and then we can get going on some decorations. Again, we're hoping to have a couple of Saturday mornings where we can make some stuff, either space themed or disco candy themed. However, the kids, you know, whatever the mood strikes. But that's kind of everything. Any other questions? I can't guarantee the taquitos. I know that they were a lot of work, but yeah, they were delicious. So anyhow, that is all. If there are no other questions, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much for hanging in here, and have a good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.